الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين واشهد ان لا اله الا الله وحده لا شريك له واشهد ان محمدا عبده ورسوله ارسله ربه رحمه للعالمين. Before we begin, inshallah, I always get the question, why are you always smiling? Well, two reasons. Number one, it's an Islamic thing, because ما روي أحد أكثر تبسما برسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, so nobody was ever seen more smiling than the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, and we know that smiling is a charity, it's a sadaqah in Islam. Number two is a cultural thing. It's part of being an Egyptian, because you know Egyptians, they always smile and laugh. And the reason is we have so much trouble in our lives. If we don't smile, we just explode and die. So this is why we always laugh. Alhamdulillah. So today, inshallah, we'll talk about wishing others good. And I've been talking about this for a few days. We spoke about non-Muslims, we spoke about Muslims, and last night, we started to speak about your wife, and we said that our goal in life is to start a Muslim family, alhamdulillah, a good family, and together we make it to Jannah. And today, inshallah, we'll talk briefly about the steps to do this, inshallah, and together make it to Jannah. Before we begin, I'm going to talk about some miserable souls that I have dealt with doing counseling to couples. So I'm giving you one example of a bad brother, a husband, another bad example, a bad sister. The first example was in Edmonton 3 years ago. The brother came to me, he called and he said, me and my wife, we want to come for counseling. I said, okay, come over. So he came and his wife, and he said, what happened was, his wife is Canadian. She was born and raised here from our country, and she sponsored him. So he came, he couldn't speak English, he didn't know the culture, whatever. She sponsored him. So she felt like she was better than him. She was like his master. So what happened was, he said, he was in Edmonton, he called his wife, he said, we're going to visit my mother today, we'll take the kids and go. And she said, sorry honey, I wish I can. He said, so what's wrong? She said, I'm in Toronto. He said, what happened? Because I didn't know you were traveling. She works for a mortgage company. She flew to Toronto from Edmonton without his knowledge. So he said, well, when are you going to come back? She said, maybe give it 2 or 3 days, I don't know. There's a meeting or a conference or something, I'm still no. Well, when they were talking to me, I felt like there were 2 men with me in the room. The sister was loud and she was screaming and shouting at him, and I said, how do you expect you lot together to work like this? It doesn't work. Eventually, they got a divorce. It didn't work. The second example of a bad brother, this happened back in 2009. A sister called and she was devastated. What happened? She said, my husband is forcing me to take off the hijab. So I thought she made a mistake. I thought her husband is pushing her to wear the hijab. No. She said, no. I'm wearing the hijab. I was raised as, to wear the hijab. It's part of, whatever. And my husband is not too happy. He said, when I walk with you in the street and you have the hijab, you look very old. You look like my grandmother. So take off the hijab. So I told her, if he ever asks you again to take off your hijab, tell him, give me a divorce, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give me a better husband than you. That was back in 2009. She called me like 2 years later and she said he never opened the subject again. And she told me, give me a divorce. Alhamdulillah. So what you need to do, we said that the foundation for a successful marriage is mawadda and rahmah. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, Surah Al-Rum, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُمْ مِنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ مَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً. Mawadda and rahmah translates to love, mercy, and respect. The easiest way to achieve this, and we'll continue tomorrow inshallah, is for the brother to treat his wife the same way he likes his sister or his daughter to be treated by her husband. And for the wife, the sister, to treat her husband the same way she likes her brother or her son to be treated by his wife or her wife? His wife, sorry, yeah, it's very confusing. So we'll continue tomorrow inshallah. This is the easiest way. The mistake, it's 29. Sorry. And the winner is Sister Samia Muqaddam. Where is she? Is there anyone to take the prize for her? Fine. The question for tonight is difficult. There is an ayah in the Quran that says, the higher you go in the sky, the more constricted and tight your chest will become, so you are not able to breathe. يجعل صدره ضيقا حرجا كأنما يصعد في السماء. If you know which surah is it, which verse, let me know before tomorrow Asr at Mustafa.